Hi, I'm going to take you on a little walk around the outpost. A couple weeks ago, I posted a video about losing my cat, Watson, and then finding him again 6 years later after he had been adopted by another family, and ultimately deciding not to reclaim him, to let him stay in his new home. And that video has really struck a chord, completely blown up my channel, and currently has almost 2,000 comments. And the vast majority of those comments are really beautiful. There are a lot of people sharing compassion for my experience. There are a lot of people sharing their own stories of losing a pet. And it kind of feels like a group outpouring of that unique experience of loss that the world doesn't really have a clear category for. Everyone knows if you lose a human loved one, we all know how we're supposed to feel about that and what's an appropriate amount of grief and all that stuff. But for animals, it seems to be a lot less defined, which kind of makes it a unique challenge. And even in my experience of sharing this video, I've experienced the full spectrum of people's reactions to that. There, like I said, majority of them have been kind, and then there are also a lot that are kind of people being assholes about it. There are people who are like, boo-hoo, you lost a cat, grow up, have some kids, things like that. I've had a couple things go viral, and I've noticed that there's this threshold where up to a certain point, it's still kind of within your own circle. It's people who have chosen to follow you, people who like you, and as long as it stays within that circle, things are friendly. It's like what you would get from a friend group. But then once it kind of crosses over that boundary and it goes off into the wider world, and it's sort of being pushed in front of people who don't have any goodwill toward you, then it starts to get weird. That's when you get the trolls, you get the people who are just miserable people who feel the need to spread their misery onto random strangers on the internet. I know I said in the end of that video I answer all the comments, but when there are 2,000 of them, so I wanted to address a few of those recurring comments. So one of the things that keeps coming up is it seems like people think that I don't think that Watson remembers me. I just wanted to make it clear that's not what I intended to say in that video. I'm not claiming that they're just mindless creatures without consciousness. I just don't think that they tell themselves a story the way that we do. I don't think that they have this really elaborate narrative that has, plot points that must be fulfilled in the way that we do, where we feel like, well, someone owes me this because of what happened earlier or something. I just feel like their perception is more pure than that somehow. Less caught up in the what should have been and what should be now. It's just sort of, this is the way it is. A lot of people have commented that I should keep in touch with Julie, his new owner. And I agree. I wasn't sure I was going to when I posted that video, but a lot of you have showed me a different perspective on that, and I've realized that would be good, actually. I thought maybe it would be best to just let it go, move on for both of us. But I think that it would be nice, if possible, to maintain some continuity with him. I'm also going to make sure that they understand if Julie is ever not able to take care of him anymore for whatever reason. I think that Watson's life will probably come to an end before hers does. He's over 12 years old at this point. But just if anything does happen to her, I don't want him to be funneled off to some random grandkid who doesn't care. At that point, I would want to take him back. You also pointed that out to me, and I appreciate it. And then there's this comment that keeps coming up that I find hurtful, but also just sort of baffling, which is that people seem to think that it was wrong of me to leave Watson with my grandparents for that brief transitional period while I was moving. And this I find very strange, because it seems to be people saying you should never leave your cats with anyone else. You should never leave them alone. And I'm like, what? How? Do you never leave home? You never go on vacation? There's never any reason you have to be away from home for a week or two? I thought that was pretty understood that happens, and when that happens, you have to get someone else to take care of your cat. Especially when you're moving, the idea that I would somehow have kept him in my house while packing it up into boxes and drop him into unfamiliar territory with no comforts, heavy labor and machinery and noise, that would just absolutely traumatize him. And that's what I was trying to avoid by leaving him at my grandparents' house. There's no way you want a cat underfoot while you're moving. That's a violent and noisy and chaotic experience, and cats do not like any of those words. So come on. Don't come on my page and be like, you abandoned him and that's why he left you. That's ridiculous. I don't know if these people even have cats, if they understand the realities of owning a pet. They have to get shuffled around sometimes. It's how life works. So I wanted to comment on that. No hard feelings, but Jesus. And then for the small number of people who felt they needed to take time out of their day to come onto a stranger's YouTube video and inform them that they are pathetic for being sad over losing a pet. You're very cool and tough, and everyone loves you for being a badass who has no emotions. And get out there and like kill some things and flex your muscles, and everybody clapped, and good for you. Move along, please. So with all that out of the way, mostly I just want to say thank you to everybody. It has been an emotional roller coaster to relive that experience in such a broad spotlight, and to have so many people communicating with me about that experience and about their experiences. It's a very cathartic thing to be able to share it with people on that kind of scale. And for everybody who actually stuck around and watched my other videos and actually subscribed, I really appreciate that. I know that you're here for, a tear-jerking cat story, which is not something I can repeat, hopefully ever again. But stories are stories. That is sort of what this channel is all about, is going to be telling stories about my strange life and other topics that may come up as I'm out here in oblivion. So welcome to all the new subscribers. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you'll stick around for whatever's next.